Baruch Hashem, we started a new chapter. It's a little easier. Okay, so in chapter number 6, and the topic is the difference between the pious person and the one who overcomes his desires. Okay, so very interesting, right? So what is the difference between pious person and the one who overcomes his desires? The philosophers have defined a person who overcomes his desires as one who does worthy acts and good deeds, even though he has a tendency toward the base deeds and desires to perform them. He battles these tendencies and does the very opposite of what his soul powers, natural desires, and disposition prompts him to do. Although he acts nobly, he suffers discomfort while doing so. Okay, so I would say it is step 1. So let's do this piece again, and we're going to explain everything it says here. It's very interesting. So I said the philosophers have defined a person who overcomes his desire as one who is a worthy act and good deeds. Right, so meaning a person has desire. So as we said many times, so he has or she has desire because many times because a person put himself or herself in that situation. Right, so we also always have to build fences around us not to get close to this desire. Right, and if you learn enough how bad is it, so you would not most likely you would not have the desire. But this person, like in our mind, like maybe it's a big warrior and he or she fights with all of the temptations and wins, but still there is a problem. Okay, even though he has a tendency toward the base deeds and desire to perform them, right? So the desires and tendencies are still there, but he's winning the battles. Okay, he battles this tendency and does the very opposite of what the soul's powers, natural desires, and disposition prompts him to do. Okay, so he has this character, he has these desires, his natural desires, as he said, but he, like she, fights very hard. So on one hand, it's compliment, on the other hand, it's not exactly. So we're going to see. Although he acts nobly, he suffers discomfort while doing so. So that's the big issue when person suffers from his mitzvot, right? From his battles. So he said, okay, I overcame, but it was very not easy and stuff like that. So that's the issue and sometimes people even miss their desires. That's even bigger issue. Continue. A pious person, by contrast, conduct himself according to the manner in which he is prompted by his desire and his dispositions. He performs worthy deeds because he wants to, and because this is his nature. But before we start explaining this, we have to know that nobody is being born as a pious person. It means that this person working on himself or herself. That's our obligation to change our character, right? To improve our character. So in order not to have these base desires, and the person can test himself. So like if Shulchan Aruch says or our sages say it's not will of God, Hashem does not like it, so the person would stop and with any desire, right? With any desire, like for example, we're learning in our medical class today, right? Today or yesterday, I don't remember, about smoking. So if person knows like my job in this world is to serve Hashem, and this smoking is going to limit me in some way, so I would be like hard for me to do some things, right? Because I'm heavy smoker, let's say. Right, so if person knows it's not the will of Hashem, he's going to stop, right there and cold turkey, just stop, right? And he would not have desire because why would I want to go against Hashem? I took smoking as an example, but with any desire, be in a bad company, to go in a mixed beach, right? Continue. A pious person, by contrast, conduct himself according to the manner in which he prompts by his desire and dispositions. He performs worthy deed because he wants to, and because this is his nature. Meaning, he created himself this desire. He built himself in this way that he desires only good, only what is beneficial for the service of HaShem. That's the difference between the two people, right? So of course, Leib will be on a level one. We can fight all of our desires, but you remember, it's not the end point. You have to go higher or further. Continue. All philosophers agree that the pious person is in a higher rank than the one who overcomes his desire. Nevertheless, one who overcomes his desire resembles a pious person in many ways. He is definitely on a lower level, for his desires to conduct himself basely. Okay. Although he does not act to do so, his desire to do so reflects the perverse trends of his soul. Shlomo HaMelech spoke of him, saying, "A wicked soul desires evil." And he said of the happiness of the pious man experiences when doing good, and the discomfort experience when the person who is not pious perform good deeds. So, and it says, "Doing justice brings joy to the righteous, but it is a downfall for the worker of iniquity." This reflects the reflects the parallel between the words of the prophets and the words of the philosophers. Okay, so let's do this piece again, and we're going to explain. Very deep stuff. I mean, on one hand, it seems like sounds very simple, but it's not. Okay. All philosophers agree that the pious person is on a higher rank than the one who overcomes his desires. That's obvious. Because why? Because this pious person worked on himself, and now he does not have these desires. He has he fulfills his desires, but desires only to the good. Okay, which is amazing. Continue. Nevertheless, one who overcomes his desires resembles a pious person in many ways, right? But opposite is also true. Opposite meaning this person who overcomes his desire. So at the end, he did not perform bad deeds, right? Okay, he was tempted, he was thinking about it and stuff like that, but at the end, he did not do it. So that's a resemblance between him and the pious person. So pious person is a tzaddik. Just so you know. He's definitely on a lower level, for he desires to conduct himself basely. Okay, so as we said, the reason he has all of these battles and he won the battles, but he had these desires to begin with. And Rambam said many times. So he said, when a bad thought is coming to you, is why? Because your mind is empty of the Torah. Right, so if you have enough Torah, if you put more and more Torah into you, this Torah is going to push off this bad thought. So, but because your mind is shallow, it's not filled with the Torah. That's why you have all of the desires. I mean, it's very harsh, to think that sometimes we're in this category, but that's true. Okay. Because lack of the Torah doesn't matter. Like say, a person can learn 5 or 7 hours a day, but has these desires just because of that, right? Maybe he needs to learn 9 hours a day and not put himself in over the compromising situations. Continue. Although he does not actually do so, meaning this person who hold himself back, right? do so. His desires to do so reflects perverse trend of his soul, right? So whatever is in his soul is now like coming out, right? So that's what that's what he wants to do, but he knows it is forbidden. That's why he fights. But we always have to go to the root of the problem. Okay, the symptoms. Of course, you have to fight the symptoms. That's correct. But for example, a person is sick, has a high fever. So of course, you can take a Tylenol and the fear maybe will go down. But you have to identify the source of the fear. Maybe some kind of infection, and just because you brought the fever down, so now you feel a little better, but you would not even look at this what's the root cause of the issue, and God forbid the person may die because he was treating only side effects. Okay, so we always have to go to the root of the issue. The Shlomo HaMelech spoke of this saying is in Proverbs 21:10. A wicked soul desires evil. So if a person desires evil, so Shlomo HaMelech says it's evil soul. Of course, the soul is cleansable. Right? We have to cleanse and get rid of these things, but he gives us the Agnes. Okay. And he said of the happiness of the pious man, experiences when doing good, and discomfort experienced when a person who is not pious performs good deeds. So before we continue, it's very interesting sentence. So it says one more time, and we're going to explain. Very interesting. And he said that of the happiness pious man experiencing when doing good. So some people they do mitzvot, but they like feel like they try to finish it as soon as possible, maybe do halfway, maybe find leniency, shortcuts, and this and that. So that's and they suffer. The second part of the sentence, they suffer from performing of service of God, and they, if would up to them, and nobody would criticize them, maybe they would not do it at all, right? But the pious man, the tzaddik, is doing so in his happiness, right? Okay, with happiness, good deeds. So as it says in Proverbs also 21:15, doing justice brings joy to the righteous. Justice is not only like during the court, right? But justice means something that is right. So, for example, justice when you give tzedakah, so tzedakah, it's like you're doing justice. So you have more, right? You have more, but somebody is lacking. So when you give somebody tzedakah, you also perform an act of justice, or when you're helping someone, or in right. So when doing justice, bring joy to the righteous. Okay. But if it is downfall of the workers of iniquity, but it is a downfall for workers of iniquity. But these good deeds for the workers of iniquity. So for them, it's suffering. Like you see sometimes there are people in shul and they cannot wait until the davening is over. And buddy, you came 10 minutes late. Well, just stop, and he signed, and why and he's pacing back and forth. It's like unbelievable. The guy did and I always feel like not even annoyed, but I feel so bad. It's such a pity that person make himself wake up at 6 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. or whatever time, and now he feels so bad, like he cannot wait until he can go out. That's terrible. This reflects the parallel between the words of the prophet and the words of the philosophers. So just to remind us what we said in the beginning. So sometimes when the Rambam said philosophers, it's not always Jewish philosophers. Just so you know, not always. So, but we're going to see.